processing. At this point, we are going to go through different steps of data processing and apply it on a particular data set. The data set that we will use at this point is this simple data set which contains country, age, salary, and purchased. If this person, let's say, for example, they purchased maybe a pair of shoes. If they didn't, we say no. If they did, we say yes. For example, a person from Kenya aged 44 with a salary of 72,000 did not purchase that particular shoe. A person from Tanzania aged 27 with a salary of 48,000 purchased that particular shoes. Now, to begin, we'll go through different stages in data processing. Where we begin from is importing the libraries. These are libraries that will assist us to go through the data, and the libraries that we'll use are, for example, the matplotlib that will allow us to chart graphs, and the numpy and the pandas library that I will get into just in a minute. Another thing that we'll use, the next stage after importing libraries, will be importing the dataset. Importing the dataset is very simple. It is when for example, the IDE will be able to get to the dataset, and we can now use it to manipulate it, to change it in whichever way that we need it to. The next step will be taking care of missing data. Taking care of missing data, for example, in our dataset, we can see here, Tanzania, we did not get the age of that person, and in Rwanda, we did not get the salary of that person. If we leave this at 0, we may have an issue. So what is the proper way of taking care of missing data? Now, from taking care of missing data, we go to encoding categorical data, the independent variable, and the dependent variable. Encoding, what is it about? Machines may not be able to understand images and texts. They speak in terms of ones and zeros. So interpreting texts such as Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda may be an issue. So we have to encode it in a way we may understand, but also the computer may be able to understand and operate accordingly. And finally, splitting the dataset into training set and test set. This is, we are going to split the data into two sets, the training set and the test set. One set we will use to work on the model during the development, and the other set we will use after the model when we want to now put it into the real world so that it can give us maybe predictions or analysis that we need. It is good to split the data set so that we can have those two sets and be able to enhance our model. And lastly, we have feature scaling. Feature scaling, we spoke about normalization. Feature scaling is literally like normalization. What happens in feature scaling is we are going to normalize the range of independent variables. We want to put it in a range that is reasonable so that we don't have outliers, we don't have data that are hanging about. We have to do feature scaling. So where are we starting from? We start from importing the libraries. To import libraries in this IDE, for example, I'm using PyCharm. PyCharm helps us the PyCharm IDE helps us to code in Python. So to import libraries, first of all, you will have to, there are three libraries that we're going to import, two libraries in fact. So the first library is the pandas library and the numpys library. So to import library, we first of all go to, for me, I'll go to preferences. For you, depending on which machine you are using, you may go to settings. I'll go to preferences, and then I will go to Python interpreter. Now at Python interpreter, there is a plus sign there that is written install, this plus sign here. We click on it, and we are going to get a very, very long list of different Python libraries that we can use. So at this point, I've said we are going to look for numpy, NumPy library. It is right there at the top. For you to be able to install it, you may have to have your internet on so that it can download, but the library is very small. So have your internet connected and you can click install. For me, I've already installed it. The next one is pandas library. It is already there. You will, when you have your internet on, you may see some information there, and you can always install it, and it will install just in a few minutes. So what happens? The NumPy library, for example, will allow us to work with arrays. It has very powerful features that helps us to work with arrays and lists. The pandas library, like we have here in front of us, allows us to import the dataset, number one, and number two, it will help us to create matrix of features and independent variable vectors, something that I will show you how to use. So those are the two libraries that we're going to use for this lesson. So for me, I've already imported the libraries, and now I can go straight to just declaring them on top here. So to import the library, it means you want to use it. A library is basically a group of features that have been put together that you can go get into and try to use it for whatever thing that you need it for. So to import a library, we say the import keyword, and then we say numpy. It's already there for me, and then we say as np. As np, basically it's like a nickname. Every time you say np, it will know you are referring to numpy library. And number two is the import pandas. It's already there for me. Then I'm going to put it as pd. As pd means every time we need this library, we'll just say pd and it will locate the library for us. So that's basically it about importing libraries and the data set that we will be working on. In the next sample, we'll look at how we can import the data set so that we can begin working on it. Thank you. See you in the next call.